Welcome to TTC Cars. I'm Brian.
I'm Craig.
And this behind us right here is the 23 Honda Accord Sport Hybrid. So we're really excited about that, and let's talk about looks first. First of all, the paint. Come look at this paint. Come look at this. Look at the metallic in this. Look at that flake. Came out really good. This is going to be the launch color. You're going to see a bunch of media with this color car. We're glad we got this color too. It's better than gray or white or black or something lame like that. This really works. I want to come look at the grill real quick. The biggest difference is the snaz compared to the old one. Now, Craig, I've been told by an astute viewer of ours that this shape reminds them of something. It reminds them of the former Ford Taurus, in particular, the police car spec, because they have a blacked out grill, or the SHO. I can kind of see it. This shape kind of fits that. I also don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Something else I want to point out that I didn't know until I was walking away. You do have horizontal lines, right? But you also have a honeycomb embedded behind it. So you kind of have a crosshatch behind it, and I think it looks pretty neat. Come look at the grill as well right here, the emblem. Something great about that is they've embedded the radar cruise control sensor right here instead of having a separate block like the previous generation had a square down here. Looked out of place. This looks very integrated and nice. I like it. On the sport trim, you have monochromatic finishes and black trim down below. Let's bring around the side. Coming right down here, Craig, look at these guys. These look muscly to me. And it's weird to see this on a hybrid because the spoke is big, it looks bulky by design. It's not light or airy. The previous wheels in sport trim looked lighter to me. And it may be because they are. Because Craig, there's a penalty for this 19-inch wheel. What is that?
About 4 miles per gallon?
4 miles a gallon overall and highway, 3 miles a gallon penalty in the city. So to get the sport trim, you have to get the hybrid. You can't get the 1.5 turbo with also a CVT in the sport trim at all. So I'm a little confused as to why that's packaged that way. Comment below if you think you have an idea, but clearly it was a choice made by Honda. Maybe I'll change down the road, but that is the design plan. If you get a sport, you have to get the hybrid, which is non-turbo, but it does have more power than the non-turbo. Something else I want to point out, these are the Goodyear tires. These are 235 4019s. They're totally quiet, they're totally fine. I will say though that this type of tire, Michelin flavor, is a little bit more communicative. Not that that's a deal breaker. Bring the camera over here, one more point. There is a lot of aero in this car, and look right there. That is an aero slot from the front bumper to bring air around to the wheels and brakes. That's cool. I like it that cars that aren't exotic are starting to pay attention to that. Those little things add up at the end of the day for mileage. So come on down, you have black mirror caps. It matches the lower valence trim down here and the front bumper. You do have keyless entry. You have the key here, put your hand in, unlocks it, or locks it, or locks it. What is going on? There we go, got it, okay. But I do like that there's not an actual button. It actually just has, you put your hand in, it does it. Big fan of that. Coming to the back, fuel door, nothing crazy here, more wheels.
Wait. We unlock it?
There you go. Oh, capless fuel, okay. I have to blur that, all right. I like that. No cap, good move. Honda is doing great.
Ooh, what's that little spoiler?
Oh, this is also part of the sport package. It is matching your lower side trim.
Well, you're not talking me back into the sport package.
I know, it looks good, doesn't it? You also get a wraparound taillight, which I think is cool. And Craig made a good point earlier. The Honda emblem is not this big gaudy thing. It's actually embedded below this plane. I like that a lot. Also, a little confused here about hybrid and sport living together.
What's that?
We'll talk about that later. We'll debate that later.
Okay.
All right, right here, you've got your rear camera. You do not have 360 camera on this. Honda's got a really good system. If you've ever driven Pilot or higher trim Accords, they have that. You don't have the lane change camera, that kind of stuff. This is all you get right here, but the resolution is excellent. Trunk, you've got a wide opening and a low deck, and it is a deep, deep trunk. It'll rival just about anything in the segment, and you've got your handles to release and lower. So happy with that, very pleased with that. Good loading deck. If you want a good low trunk, it's got that covered. Engine time. All right, boys and girls, let's get to the power plant.
Yes.
All I gotta do is find the sweet spot, and she opens up right there. Okay. Look at that, get the prop rod.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so what are we dealing with right here is a 2-liter naturally aspirated, and as you can see right here, nice cat, no turbos. That's naturally aspirated, and it's paired with an electric motor. It makes 204 horsepower and 247 foot-pounds of torque, which does get the job done pretty well. We'll see how the 0-60 time is in a minute. I find this air box is interesting. It's an air intake right here where it's cool, and it circles all the way through here and back to the air mass air sensor right there. The hybrid power plant is sandwiched down in there, and it is, unfortunately, we can't sugarcoat this, it's paired to a CVT. The bad news here is in 2023, if you want a Honda Accord for yourself, it has to be a CVT. Your only options are the 1.5 turbo with 195 horsepower and a CVT transmission, or the 2-liter naturally aspirated with a hybrid, 204 horsepower. So technically this is a more powerful one and more torque. I don't know that I would choose this, and we'll talk about that a little more when we drive it later on, mostly because of driver engagement. So all that out of the way, let's jump in the interior.
All right, people, it's time for the 2023 Honda Accord interior review. And it's pretty basic up here to start at the top. We get a nice little light back here. Kids can sit back here and turn on and off, on and off, on and off, and probably drive the parents crazy. There's not an override up front, but that's okay. You do get nice handles all the way around in case the dad gets a little crazy and starts taking the corners at speed. And then it's just, it's comfortable. Because of the slope a little bit, you lose a little headroom, but it's not terrible considering we have a moonroof up front. It does cut back up. So I'm 5'9", and I'm kind of touching a little bit if I lean back a little bit. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem on a long drive. So that would be a little annoying. But for kids, it'd be fine. Nice center armrest with plenty of big cup holders so they can spill all their juice. You get no map pocket back here because you're only going to navigate from this side. So map pocket back there. And then, sorry kids for doing that light. What you get is no AC, so quit messing with the light in the back. Let's move it up front. Moving up to the front where the business happens. First off, Brian's wallet again. Thank you for that. I'll just keep that. But let's start with the passenger's perspective. And here's why I'm going to say that. First off, they look over here and they see this nice chicken coop, very Waco silo-ish. I like that. That's a good touch. I think the hipsters and the moms are going to really like that. Yes. Also, that's not for the driver. That's for the passenger. When they're sitting over in that seat and they're like, oh, what kind of car is this? Is this a sport? No, it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid, okay? So don't get any wrong ideas. The driver himself, let the people see this. I want to show them some things. They've really thought some things through, and I want to show them some of those things. If I can get zoomed in here, might not be able to see, but what's really cool is when you get to the lane assist, well, it doesn't really show it here, but it shows, oh, they're really good at their language. Following interval, furthest, far, mid, nearest. Very descriptive, very descriptive.
Oh,
I like that.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing I like. They are being very honest. I want to show vehicle stability assist. It doesn't say traction control off where everyone else lies to you. No, it says what it really is. Reduce traction control. Thank you for not lying to us there. I really appreciate that. That's very nice.
I appreciate the honesty.
Appreciate the honesty. You can also play with the gauges a little bit. You can have round dials or you can have these bars. That's kind of cool. Other than that, this is a very simple, straightforward interior. Honda's kind of doing that with all their interiors, from the HR-V to the Pilot to now the Accord and the Civic. We kind of saw it first in the Civic. Kind of a family theme on the interior. If you get in any Honda now, it's going to make sense to you. And it works. Brian pointed out that the clicks all kind of match. If it's this click or that click or that click or this click, they all kind of match. The kind of the Audi Mazda trick. I like that a lot. Also, last thing I want to show you, that's not a wireless charging pad. Even though we have wireless CarPlay, which is good, but we don't have a wireless charging pad. So what happens is you're using wireless CarPlay, which works flawlessly, and that's really good. You go to plug it in, it's okay, we got chargers. USB-C. Okay, I applaud them for being ahead of the game with USB-C because that's where everything's moving. This industry standard is going forward. But I think all of us have a lot of USB-A. There's no USB-A. Here's your workaround. You come in here. There's an actual old school cigarette lighter charger thingy in there. You get one of these bad boys, you plug it in, and Bob's your uncle. You can charge like an old man.
Or you just get USB-C.
Or you just get ready to get USB-C. Kind of solves the problem. So with that, let's get on the road and see how sporty this thing is. All right, Brian, it's time for the Accord Sport Hybrid launch.
Yep.
Let's see if it can be...
Wait. I want to show the people real quick.
Okay.
It makes it harder for a driver sometimes to know what RPM we're at because this doesn't have an RPM.
That's right.
It has percentage of power used gauge.
What does that mean?
Watch me rev it. Ready? Oh, sorry. Watch me rev it. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. You can't rev it.
Can't be done. So this thing really wants to be an EV, but EVs are fast in a straight line. Let's see how that works.
Okay.
Sport mode.
Hybrid, it's got the sport badge. Hit it.
Whoa,
Okay, little wheel spin. That's
20.
oh, good
30,
fake noise.
40.
It's a
50,
CVT.
60. All right. Yeah.
All right.
You did it. Woo. 8.19.
Man,
Look,
not bad. Really.
for a hybrid, it's supposed to be going gas. I get it. The real hard point is this. It's either a 2-speed CVT like the older CVTs, or it's faking it really well, which I do like that.
Yeah,
in normal driving, I have no complaints with this. I really don't.
No, it's a very livable CVT.
Right, but the moment you start to peel with those layers, like, ooh, it's sport, let's get the sport model. It's just, there's no Civic Type R in here. That's all I'm saying.
It's very interesting that the Sport only comes with a hybrid.
That is interesting.
You do get more horsepower, 204 horsepower versus I think 192 or something like that.
195. I get that logic.
Over the
That makes
1.5
sense.
turbo. But I think we all know the turbo you could probably tune a little bit, maybe.
Well, the weak link for both is that you're stuck with a CVT no matter what.
True.
With a new Accord, you have to go CVT, and I find that as an actual drawback.
At least right now, which is interesting because the 10th generation Accord, this is the 11th gen, the 10th generation, you could get the 10-speed auto, the CVT, or a manual.
That's pretty awesome.
Which is almost maybe too much. I don't know.
Maybe. And also, this is a COVID car. What I mean is it's designed and built in COVID era. This might be for streamlining to get them out, and at that point, I'd rather have them than not have an option at all.
That's actually a really good point. I bet you that's some of the factor, and you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
So later, maybe some updates to the 11th gen, we'll have some of those things.
I bet you we do.
Good point.
And look, this comes from the same company that makes the Civic Type R, which is a pure driver's car.
Oh, yeah, we know they can do
The bones are there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I want to talk about how it drives and what this thing wants to be.
Okay.
It wants to be a hybrid. Not a hybrid, sorry. It wants to be an EV really bad. So it is really good at starting out an EV. In fact, I'm going to take it out of sport mode and put it into normal to economy. And it's quiet, it's smooth, it's comfortable. And around town, it leans on EV power under 28 miles an hour a lot. It's really good about turning off the gas engine, and regenerative braking is an effective thing. But there is no control for you as a driver to get the RPM of the engine in any place you might want it. There are paddles, but that's for regenerative braking, which I'm okay with that. That actually works really well, and that makes more sense than a CVT faking shifts.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked it.
I did too. There is no sport mode in the transmission selector, but there is sport mode overall, a separate switch.
Right.
But there's no way to keep this thing revved
There's no fake
up.
gear to select and keep it revved.
Right. If you're on a back road, you can't go, oh, holding this RPM while I'm going through the turn so I can roll back into it. You can't do that at all.
No.
So that tells you a lot about its mission. I think it handles fine. I think it is comfortable and smooth and all that good stuff. It excels in that, and Honda's packaging is insane. It's so good, it even makes the driving experience better.
And it also makes it feel like a big car. It is a big car.
It is a big car.
It's roomy. There's plenty of room in here. Maybe a little bit of a headroom thing we talked about in the back, but up front, you're fine.
Yeah, the old car had that too, though.
The other thing Honda-wise that it keeps, it's got good sight lines. There's really...
Oh, yes.
It's a little tighter than maybe an older Honda because that's just what newer cars do.
Right.
They're also safer. That's part of the newer cars as well. But it's good sight lines. You know, it's easy to drive in the city for as large as it is.
Right. Look, we mentioned this a lot. I got on with it very well. Just as a daily, let's go to work. Really no complaints. It's not a driver's car, but it gets it done. And
let's talk about fuel mileage because it's a hybrid, and that is an important factor, and that's one of the reasons people are going to be buying this, and that's what Honda's also known for in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Look, it only holds like 10 or 11 gallons. I love it. You go to top it off, and you're only putting 10 or 11 gallons, maybe 12 at the most. I haven't looked it up to see how big the tank is, but then you hop in, and you got 480, 500 mile range almost.
You're touching 500 miles of range.
You're like, all right.
So the sensation is not only is it good on gas, it feels like it's good on gas at the pump.
Yeah, so I'm glad
down
they
with
didn't keep a 20-gallon tank on this because who needs 800 range? That would be silly.
Look, I got to pee before that. I'm sorry.
And we drove around. We definitely tested this thing, and we got 39 miles a gallon under hard testing, and it's probably still in its braking period.
Well, it's 1,700 miles now. We've put almost 1,000 miles in this in the time that we've had it. Mostly.
The point is, it should get better as it goes on. So
yeah, that'll get better as time goes on.
So, and then in the city, it definitely got better in the city. When I was in the city driving around, I got 42 to 43, and on the highway, like most hybrids, I got a little bit less. I got 39, 40.
That's no complaints. So. And if you get the non-sport model, the city range goes up to 51 miles a gallon with a smaller wheel and tire package. Which, if you're talking hybrid, be honest about your intentions because you probably don't want the sport.
And that's something I want to mention before we do wrap this thing. Yeah, would you get the Accord Sport you can only get a hybrid, or
Right.
would you get the LX with the 1.5? What would you get?
LX with 1.5. And I'm not trying to tell people to go cheap for the sake of cheapness. I prefer the turbo motor over a hybrid power plant, and that's really a personal preference. And it gets like 37 on the highway, which is incredible.
And then
And the
lastly,
wheel and tire is smaller too.
yeah, lastly, I want to point out Marysville, Ohio, final assembly for this place. And I'm going to be careful saying this, but I've been to Ohio recently. Very nice place.
Yeah, no complaints.
No complaints.
Fine.
It's fine.
And on that bombshell, thank you for watching TTC Cars. If you have any questions, be sure to put them down below. We'll do our best to answer them. See you next time.
Thanks for saving me.
I don't know how else to do that.